because I'm thirsty. I'm very thirsty. Come on, here's our first customer. Taste it, Rainbow. Thirsty. Where are you? Taste the Rainbow. One more, chicken Rainbow. Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. I'm Bushka, welcome back to the channel. This is the Pubg Mobile official channel. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for quite some time for you guys, and I think you're going to enjoy it. This is a how to claw video, or otherwise the working title was, stop telling me I use an emulator. Now, a big part of the reason for making this video is I realized that there were so many people in the comments saying you're cheating, or you're using an emulator, or you're using a mouse and a keyboard. And they obviously didn't know about clawing. Now, clawing is simply a different control method for using a mobile device. And it's called the claw because you're basically using your thumb and your pointy finger. You can use 6 fingers all up, like including your thumb, or you can just use 4. I use 4. I tried 6. It just felt like overkill. And the reason it's such an important facet of the gameplay that I bring to you guys is it allows you to be far more effective in close quarters combat. Now, that's because you have more control over the mobility of the character or your avatar, and you're able to do all kinds of cool things. Like, this weapon switch is something that I think is particularly good when clawing. You can see how fast that weapon switch happened. You can see while I'm switching that weapon, I'm still aiming the gun. I'm doing all kinds of things. The big downside for me when I started clawing was that my sniping went all to hell, and it took a long time to get the sniping back. To the point where I was actually despairing of it ever happening. Like, when you're a thumb player, one of the good parts about being a thumb player is the point of contact between the screen and your thumb is reinforced by the fingers behind them. So they push into the screen, which gives you really, really good fine control. And it takes a long time to get your sensitivity and everything right. The other part of that equation is that when you're doing the claw, or when you've got your finger pressing down on the iPad and there's nothing behind it, because the angle is so different to a thumb player's angle, it's not as stable, and you've got to get used to that, adjust your sensitivity, and find something that works for you. But obviously you can do that because I've been able to get my sniping back up to where it was before I started using claw. In fact, it's probably well beyond that now, just because I've been spending so much time playing the game and I've had so much more experience at it. Now, I'm going to show you a clip in just a second, and it's the whole basis of my theory of claw. That doesn't mean that there's not other ways to do it. In fact, other people might suit you better than mine, but it opens your eyes and gives you some kind of idea on why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's basically action buttons. So on the left, I've got my thumb driving, my left pointer is jumping, my right thumb is aiming, and my right pointer is firing. So I can use a tap fire gun like the M16A4. I can leap through a doorway, turn in the air, and fire the gun. Now, my theory is basically that you want to have action buttons on opposite sides of the screen. And in this instance, you can see I've got my movement button, the bottom left, I've got my jump button, top left, my fire button, the top right, and then I aim at the bottom right. So this means basically that I can't have my jump button next to my fire button, because if I do that, then I'm going to need to have 2 fingers working that right-hand side of the screen. And I can have my action zoom button next to my jump button, because when I'm zooming, I'm not jumping. When I'm jumping, I'm not zooming. The most important thing is that you have 1 finger allocated to your fire button. If you do that, then everything else is apples, whatever you can manage. You can have your lean buttons there if you want to start using 6 fingers all up, or you can just do what I do and have them as tap to lean. But the theory behind this is that you can then go jump, turn, fire, move, all at the one time. And that's really, really important, especially when you're in CQC. Now, with regards to sensitivity, you're going to have to get this down yourself, because there is absolutely no substitute for trying things and figuring it out. It will take you time. Your devices are all different. The size of your screen is different. The graphical ability of your device is different. And this means that, you know, even the way you aim and ADS and shoot is different. So this is all on you, and you're going to have to figure this out yourself. But at the end of the day, if you do the work and you actually take the time and you go through the hard yards, you will have a setup that allows you to be absolutely lethal in close quarters combat, where anyone that's running thumbs and is coming up against you is going to be absolutely at a disadvantage. And that doesn't mean you're going to win all the time, because you might not be good and someone else might be really good, or you might be really good but they just might get a headshot. There's no guarantees in this. What it's all about is giving yourself the best opportunity and utilizing the numbers so that when it comes down to it, you get an edge in those chicken dinner situations. You still have to be able to aim. You still have to be able to fire the weapon. But let's be honest, so much of this game, when it comes to winning, is about setting up correctly, that being able to maneuver more efficiently than the other guy in these close quarters situations will absolutely get you the win. Now I'm going to show you some examples here of CQC and even sniping and how they all blend in together. You can see that I'm not opening that door. I'm letting the guys in there who don't actually know where I am at the moment move around. I can see their footprints, and then we're going to get in. We don't have a vest or a helmet, so he only hits us, I think, the once, but man, it absolutely tore us apart because obviously we don't have any armor on. And then I'm able to catch this guy glitching as he comes out of the window with the AK-47, AKM. Sorry, I'm back in Counter-Strike. And that's outstanding. That's a bot. But I see someone else finishes my knock, so I know that there's someone else over there. Excellent. Or someone else was firing at him at the same time. I'm moving on out, and you can see the ease with which I'm moving, and that's all about Claw. Now, I'm not saying that you have to play Claw if you want to win. Obviously, there's a lot of players out there, Powerbank springs to mind, who play with their thumbs. And I did play with my thumbs for an awfully long time when I started my YouTube channel, and the first season I made Ace was as a thumb player. It's certainly a doable thing. It's not like you cannot do it. And especially with a game like PUBG Mobile, where if you want to play as a stealthy player, then CQC is something you're going to be avoiding. You don't really want to be involved with it a lot. And it's far more important to tactically be aware of the map, what's going on, and how it's happening. You can likewise, if you're not a Claw player, avoid CQC by playing certain maps. If you don't want to play Sanhok and drop Boot Camp, where you're going to be running around like a lunatic, you can drop Miramar or Vikendi and have a lot more of this long-ranged bomber gameplay feel going on. For me, though, I'm all about that action, that dynamic engagement. I want to be the guy who is consistently involved in the most firefights on the map. And by doing that, I'm able to have more fun. It gets the adrenaline pumping, and it does become a little bit of you become a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. You're always looking for those CQC engagements. You're always looking for those opportunities to run in and push. And I feel like that gives you an advantage at the end of a game where things are getting very, very tight, and it's very, very difficult to draw out the win when you're not good at these CQC situations. You can actually strafe fire by holding the fire button down when you are a thumb player and moving it around like that, but it's just not as accurate and not as effective. And it's certainly not something that I would suggest would be on a par with a Claw player. So that's it. How to Claw, the basics of it, the theory behind it, and some ideas for you to set up your own Claw layout. There are so many different opportunities and layouts that you can run as a Claw player, and there are so many good players out there. I've got so many videos like this on my channel where I basically outline my thoughts behind Claw, how I do it, why I do it. I've even got a Learning to Claw playlist where I show my progression, one video at a time. And how I've done it from the paw, which is a smaller version of the claw, all the way through to a full-blown four-fingered Fandango. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you want to see more videos like this on the PUBG Mobile channel, leave some likes and comments below, and I'll look at some of the topics you put up. A lot of this stuff that I've already covered off on is on my channel, The Bushka, youtube.com/TheBushka. I love making these kind of meta videos where we look at concepts and ideas and try and put them into our gameplay and get a little bit better. Look after yourselves. Love your work. Thanks so much for having me and being part of a great community. And until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.